so there's kind of two things that you can choose to do with this, right? We're gonna make water bottle rockets. We just have water bottles, they're not rockets yet. So you gotta make the rocket part, right? And we don't have very many bottles, so we might need to go acquire some. So if you wanna do this, you need to let me know. There's kind of two options that you have that you can do. The first is you can do an investigation, right? So when you build the rocket, there's gonna be different characteristics to it. Hopefully you're gonna put some fins on it, you're gonna put a nose cone on it, you can put parachutes on it, you can do little helicopter falls on it. You do all sorts of crazy, so anything you can do with a model rocket, you can do with a water bottle rocket. And there's all sorts of different designs online. There's 2-stage rockets. There's all sorts of crazy stuff you can do, right? So there's two things, once you have a design, there's two things you can do. One is build it, test it, rebuild it better. And through that, you can get modeling competencies, you can get technical writing competencies. If you do it well enough, you can get investigation competencies, and you can get data analysis competencies. The data analysis are difficult to get. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's difficult to get because you don't have a lot of data, right? So that one's difficult to get if you do the build and rebuild. Same thing with the investigation, right? You really have to think about how you're doing that before you get too far into it, because you got to get the right stuff down so you can get your competencies. The second way you can do it is any of those design features, you can test how they affect the flight of the bottle rocket. And there's two things you can think about with the bottle rocket. You can think about how high it goes and how long it's in the air. Those are the two easiest things. You can also be like, does it spin? Does it curve to the right? You can do all sorts of crazy stuff with it, but the easy ones are how high does it go and how long is it in the air? And so you can change some of the design features, some of the different characteristics of it, and see how that affects the flight of the water bottle and turn that into an investigation, right? With that, you can get all of the competencies if you collect enough data. Right? So those are kind of the two options that you have with stuff that you can do. Right now, all I'm doing, I was not expecting this big of an audience, is to see if this thing that I built works. That's all today is for. It may fail miserably and we're all just gonna surround around and go, Eric Thies is the least impressive person I've ever met in my entire life. Or it might be spectacular. There is a splash zone and you're all at the edge of it. If you get any closer, you're likely to get wet. Right? You're probably not going to get wet where you're at. Maybe you guys are. So the way this works is pretty simple, right? At the end of the day, in theory, it's pretty simple. You take your water bottle, which needs to be a 2-liter soda bottle. It's the nozzle that's important, right? So it's got to have this exact nozzle. Can you use a different shaped bottle? Can you use a smart water bottle? I don't know. Is the nozzle exactly like this one? Because this device is designed for this nozzle. If the nozzle is exactly like this, you can use the bottle, right? But anyway, you fill it up with however much water you want. That's one of the variables you can play with. And then you kind of just put it on here gracefully. And you're gonna spill a little bit of water. And then you put it down there so that the zip ties close around it. And then this is your stopper, and you put that on there and you lift up a little bit and friction holds it in place, right? And then you pump it up. This is PVC. It says it can hold like 600 PSI or something on it. That's for water when it's buried underground. We're putting air above ground in it. So we're not gonna go over 40 PSI because the PVC might explode. And we don't want that. So we're not gonna go over 40 PSI. We pump it up.
Well, that pump will pump over.
Oh, this will go to 160 according to the gauge. All right, we're at 40 pounds. So we're gonna stop pumping. We're gonna stand back so I don't get too wet. It looks like it's not leaking any water.
It's not.
Which is a really good sign. Because that means it's not leaking air either.
Oh, sorry. Wow.
It say it worked.
Wow.
It says.
It works.
Woo.
Anybody want to try? You guys that filled up my water bottle.
Amy, go.
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 Because he filled up the water bottles. And then you get second go.
I don't have a water bottle right now. Can we try and do this again sometime soon? I don't want to have one on me, but I might have some at my house.
Turn it into a rocket. Start a project.
All right.
These guys have already talked to me. He's already started his project. These guys have already talked to me about their project, so I'm going to let them go today. So quick as you can, get it on there, and then set it all the way down.
I messed
Quicker,
up.
quicker. That's all right. You're doing good. That's good. You don't have to push down that hard. And then pull up the stopper.
Ooh.
And then you might have to, so you're pushing down, you got to lift up on this. There you go. Now pump it up. 40 PSI. Look at the gauge on the pump to go over 40. We might test this to higher PSI later in life when there's not so many kids around that will get damaged if it explodes. Stand back there, count down, and pull when you're ready to launch it. Gently pull, gently pull. There you go.
Did it hit the pole?
Yeah.
I was watching the wrong way.
It went like that. That's my test bottle. Don't use that one. Do you guys want to try?
Yes.
All right, get over there.
Alright. I'll keep the shit up. So all we need
He's gonna have to show me how to build that later because I have a pump too.
There's all sorts of designs online.
What?
There's all sorts of designs
Oh,
online.
then can you send me some?
Just Google it. How to build a water bottle rocket launcher out of PVC. Google it. You'll find 47 videos. All right, so you might have to push down a little bit harder on the bottle. There you go. That seems like it. There you go. Pump it up. Oh, I don't have my phone. Keep going.
Keep going. Enough?
See how it tumbles off into space?
So, should I add spins right now? I won't.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
40, right?
40.
There's no further explanation to be needed.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
So get down lower. Pull it closer to the ground. See if that works. Give it a sharp tug.
Oh.
Now you gotta do it. You've got to get wet. You broke it.
I know.
So now you got to get in there and pull down on that little white thing, and you're totally gonna get wet.
That was the farthest one.
Wow.
I may or may not have bumped it up to 46.
What? Okay. You can come back out and test it. Otherwise, that's it for today. And also, I need tape to reattach the string. I didn't bring any.
Thank you.
You're welcome.